You think your desires are your own. You believe that the endless hours you spend staring at screens, captivated by mildly suggestive videos and digital illusions, are simply harmless choices made by a free individual. You are completely wrong. You are operating under a catastrophic biological illusion. Your neurochemistry has been hijacked. Modern society has weaponized your most primal instinct to keep you docile, distracted, and entirely powerless. In the natural world, lust is a mechanism of survival. It is the biological engine of reproduction. But in the modern digital ecosystem, lust has been engineered into a psychological cage. Corporations, social media algorithms, and advertisers understand the dark psychology of your brain infinitely better than you do. They use supernormal stimuli to trigger violent spikes in your dopamine levels, ensuring that you remain a permanent slave to instant gratification. You are not losing your focus because you lack willpower. You are losing your focus because your biological reward system is being actively exploited. In the next few minutes, we are going to break down the clinical, evolutionary truth about your attention. We will explain exactly how soft porn content rots your motivation, destroys your momentum, and alters your identity. And most importantly, we will outline a brutal 5-step protocol to completely desexualize your brain, break the addiction loop, and reclaim your sovereignty. Write this down immediately. Dopamine is not a reward. It is a mechanism of desire. By the end of this protocol, you will stop fighting your biology and start weaponizing it. Let us dismantle the illusion. To understand why you are trapped, you must first completely misunderstand everything you have been taught about dopamine. Most people believe dopamine is the chemical of pleasure. It is not. Dopamine is the chemical of anticipation. From an evolutionary standpoint, dopamine was designed to reward you for doing incredibly hard things that ensured your survival. It spiked when our ancestors tracked an animal for days, built a shelter, or secured a mate in the physical world. It required massive physical effort, friction, and time. But today, the environment has changed completely, while your biological hardware has remained exactly the same. You carry the brain of an ancient hunter-gatherer in a world of high-speed internet. When you scroll through social media and see endless streams of highly attractive, artificially enhanced individuals, your primal brain cannot distinguish between pixels on a screen and a real-world reproductive opportunity. It assumes you have hit the biological jackpot. It floods your system with dopamine. But this is a hollow victory. There is no effort, no conquest, and no real connection. You are pressing a button and receiving the neurochemical reward of a conqueror, while physically sitting alone in a dark room, achieving absolutely nothing. This creates a devastating biological mismatch. The addiction loop operates with ruthless efficiency. It begins with a trigger, usually engineered by an algorithm that knows exactly what grabs your attention. The trigger creates a craving. The craving forces an action. The action delivers a massive dopamine hit. And immediately after the hit, the dopamine crashes, leaving you with a profound sense of guilt, emptiness, and shame. But because your neurological baseline is now completely shattered, real life suddenly becomes painfully boring. Reading a book, building a business, or maintaining a real relationship simply cannot compete with the hyper-stimulating fantasy on your screen. Your brain demands another spike to feel normal again. The cycle repeats. You become a rat pulling a lever in a psychological experiment. Why would your brain generate the motivation to lift heavy weights or develop social skills when it believes it is already wildly successful at passing on its genes? It will not. Your drive evaporates. Your energy drains, your attention span rots, and your ambition flatlines. You must understand that this is not a moral failing, it is a clinical conditioning process. To escape this matrix, you must fundamentally change your relationship with pleasure. Many men attempt to solve this problem through sheer suppression. They try to forcefully crush their natural sexual desires. This is a fatal psychological error. You cannot destroy a primal instinct. If you attempt to suppress your nature, it will mutate into anxiety, frustration, and eventual relapse. Willpower is a finite cognitive resource, and it will always lose to biological necessity over a long enough timeline. The goal is not suppression. The goal is reconditioning. You must learn to separate your natural, healthy biological desires from the compulsive, artificial reactions triggered by a glowing screen. You must stop trying to fight the urge and start engineering an environment where the urge starves to death. To achieve this, you must execute a strict, 5-step protocol. Step 1 is trigger identification. You cannot defeat an enemy you cannot see. The urge to consume mild sexual content does not appear out of nowhere. It is always preceded by a specific emotional or environmental trigger. You must become a forensic investigator of your own behavior. Are you scrolling because you are actually aroused, or are you scrolling because you are stressed, bored, lonely, or tired? Most digital addictions are simply coping mechanisms for modern anxiety. By pulling the urge out of the subconscious shadows and into the analytical light of your prefrontal cortex, you immediately strip it of its power. Step 2 is behavioral redirection. The brain operates on habit loops. You cannot simply delete a bad habit, you must replace it. When the trigger hits, you need a pre-planned physical action to break the psychological loop. Do not negotiate with your brain. Move your body. Drop to the floor and do 20 push-ups. Walk outside. Journal your thoughts. You must introduce a physical shock to the system that forcefully redirects your neurochemistry. Step 3 is the digital detox. You must build a fortress around your attention. You cannot heal an addiction while living inside a casino. You must brutally unfollow, block, and delete every single source of suggestive content from your feeds. Install site blockers. Turn your phone screen to grayscale to kill the visual dopamine spikes. If a platform is designed to test your discipline, you delete the platform. The elite understand that true power lies in avoiding temptation entirely, not in fighting it daily. Step 4 is the introduction of constructive dopamine rewards. You have spent years training your brain to love cheap dopamine. You must now undergo the uncomfortable process of teaching it to love real effort. You replace the cheap thrill of scrolling with the deep satisfaction of mastering a new skill, building a project, or training your body. You must learn to fall in love with the boredom of hard work. When you endure the discomfort of discipline and achieve a goal, the dopamine release you experience is stable and constructive. It builds your identity instead of destroying it. Step 5 is strict accountability and the acceptance of the relapse protocol. Human behavior is messy. When you attempt to rewire decades of evolutionary programming, you will face moments of weakness. When you slip, the weak man drowns in guilt, shame, and self-hatred. He tells himself the system does not work and completely surrenders to the addiction. The strategist reacts entirely differently. If you break the protocol, you do not panic. You analyze the failure objectively. What was the trigger? Where was the structural weakness in your environment? You patch the vulnerability and you restart the clock immediately without a single ounce of emotional weight. Guilt is a useless emotion. Your only focus is the execution of the next correct action. Modern society wants you weak. It profits immensely from your lack of control. By keeping you hooked on a steady drip of artificial stimulation, the system ensures that you never possess the energy or the clarity to challenge the status quo. Reclaiming your mental space is the ultimate act of rebellion. It is the transition from a passive consumer to a sovereign operator. You must recognize that your attention is your life force. Where you direct your focus determines exactly who you will become. Inventory your daily habits today. Are you feeding your potential, or are you feeding the algorithm? Embrace the friction of the detox. Cultivate silence. Hoard your focus. If you want to understand the exact evolutionary frameworks that keep the masses docile and the elite powerful, subscribe to the channel. Master your instincts. Master the game. See you in the next protocol.